So Martin is the head of the North America for AdvantageGo. We always just refer to them as AdGo. Most people do, I think. Jeffrey is the senior vice president at Zywave. For those who don't know AdGo, they provide a combination of three things on one modular platform: a policy admin system, exposure management capability called Exact, and a workbench. And Zywave, I'm doing you probably an injustice here, Jeffrey, to say you're a data supermarket, but you basically you have hundreds of sources. You've aggregated hundreds of sources of data and provide one place where insurance companies can go and get access to a lot of data.
Yeah, Robin, I think that's fair. I think perhaps the most interesting data that we have is proprietary, low frequency, high severity loss event data. But yes, you're absolutely right. We have many, many sources of things that we've woven together.
We're going to come talk about that in a second. So, Martin, so you provide this modular platform with the three component parts. Your customers presumably take one or all of those modules, and then we live in this ecosystem world. This is called technology hubs, data clubs. Ease of integration then becomes an absolutely key part of what you do. How do you make it easy to integrate? What is it you've got that delivers this easy to do business with?
Yeah, most definitely. Integration is key to the successful implementation. So what we've done is not only have we integrated our own products, but when we look at our ecosystem, the products that are within our ecosystem, the data services, and we would also suggest around some of the exchanges of data. We will suggest, and we've also integrated those as well. So once we do that, they act as accelerators for the implementation. In addition to that, when we're doing an implementation whereby they're not an eco partner, we will build that integration and then look to make them an integration partner, and we'd add that integration to our integration library.
You're an ecosystem, AdGo ecosystem partner. Who approached? Did you go to them or do they go to you? Do you remember?
I think we would go to them, in many ways, but there are certainly instances where it's reverse flow.
So what's the thinking? Why go to them? What do you get out of it?
We deliver very specific components, data, content, and certainly the ability to match capacity to distributors, distribution networks. We are not out to build an entire suite of policy administration system components. We know what we do well. The rest of it, we rely on sources like AdvantageGo to connect other parties in.
Is it a distribution capability for you? For them, for you, there's a way of getting to their customers to provide your services.
Correct. Absolutely. Full stop.
Martin, back to you. All businesses are slightly different, both in terms of the size, the mix of business, their approach to business. You guys have got a workbench. Workbenches are hot right now. Everybody wants one. Everybody thinks they should be configured differently. How on earth do you end up with a workbench that can sort of meet all those different flexible requirements?
Yeah, great question. So we're very much a product organisation. So we don't come with a blank sheet of paper. We come with pre-built templates for insurance products. We would also look at pre-built sort of workflows which come out of the box, very much aligned to different lines, classes of businesses. We would suggest integration, data integrations, the ones which are within our library, because they are the ones that we've looked at would see best of class. And we would take those and go to the end customer. And we're always looking for a quick win, a really quick implementation. We'd also look at the processes and what they want to do, and then using our no-code console, you can then configure that to meet your needs. But the key is to get an implementation in as quickly as you can. the solution, the platform, is built for change. So whatever you deliver day one is not where you're going to end up. You want to use the platform in order to drive out the changes that you want to make in the future. So gone are the days whereby you need to rip and replace and take everything out. The key is to get something in quickly that aligns to your need at that point in time, and then use the platform to change over time.
Let's just drill into one class, how you work together and sort of illustrate how it works out. Jeff, if we take cyber and your cyber data sets and working with AdvantageGo, you kind of put all those things together. How does that work from a sort of cyber underwriter's point of view?
Sure. You know, Robin, I think that what we're trying to do is take cyber capacity through our network to cyber distributors. Zywave has a 15,000, 16,000 U.S. retail brokerages and agencies as customers. And so we want to take that capacity, link it there, add to that data that suggests, for example, you know, we probably have 225,000 records of cyber instances of loss that, you know, span malicious breach to privacy network violations to ransomware and so on. And the idea, of course, is to help an underwriter organization get up to speed quickly and then understand where they are, what types of risks they're writing relative to other things that we know have already occurred. And one of my favorite ways to do this is the idea that loss data really becomes an interesting proxy for experience when you have none. For example, we write this type of customer, but we haven't written that yet. Well, we have losses that match to that. And so what AdvantageGo is doing is sort of enhancing this speed, efficiency sense, and I think we're augmenting that same thing.
So do you go out and sell it to cyber underwriters as a combined product? Could you take this thing and
do
we can do the whole thing?
We do both. Yeah. Tell us what you want.
Perfect. Martin, ultimately, all software is designed around the same thing. I think most of what we'll talk about today is, does it help you price better? Does it help you get more efficient? Does it help you write more risks, see more risks? How do you make the case for workbenches? What is it that they're providing underwriters with that they wouldn't get if they'd got a workbench?
Yeah, I feel there's two main advantages of the workbench. So there's the operational efficiency that you refer to, and also the ability to supply the insights at the right time into the underwriting process for a more informed decision to be made by the underwriter. Another area which I believe helps the organisation grow, we've got an email add-in integration tool, because still today, I mean, majority of the submissions are going to come through email. Now that can interrogate the submission. It not only will take the submission and pass it into the platform and start the process, but for the underwriter and the carrier, they've got different appetite, and it can also look at that and look through maybe the hundreds of submissions that are coming in overnight and target the submissions that underwriter, that company, its appetite, they can go and it needs to go and look at. And we've found that with some organisations, that's allowed them to grow very, very quickly without the overhead of employing lots of different people.
And then just so we clear this up, tell us about who your owners are. So you're owned by a big outsourcer, whose name I've now forgotten.
Coforge.
Yeah. Thank you. They've got a lot of people here. You're targeting the US market. You run that. You're not selling the policy admin system, are you? You're targeting much more exposure management and the work.
Yeah. So into the US market and actually Bermuda as well, we've brought here the underwriting platform, so the underwriting workbench, and both of our exposure management products. They're both called Exact. One's called Exact, one called Exact Max. One's built specifically for the carrier. The Exact Max is built specifically for the reinsurer. The difference between the two is the architecture that supports both of those products. On the reinsurance side, the architecture allows it to support very large data sets and data data points.
Last question, probably a bit of a naughty one that wasn't expecting, but policy admin system providers and the providers of the software like AdvantageGo are a good source for you. Are you agnostic? Do you deal with all of the policy admin system providers?
On our side?
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes. We're totally agnostic. We want what the customer wants in terms of making an efficient play. Underwriting is laborious. You've heard it from all of your speakers ahead of us. This aspect of knowing about what you don't know, we want to help you get that knowledge and ingest it as fast as possible so you can make an informed decision.
I'll just add one thing to that. So we, within our ecosystem, have a number of our own competitors. So especially on the policy administration side, we will also, especially within the US, we will deal with we would have been deemed in the past of our competitors as well.
That's a good point. I mean, we'll hear about it more today. I think that this idea that this ecosystems and having to work together means increasingly competitors have to play nicely, and it's part and parcel of doing business today.
Yeah, Robin, I would add to that, though, this capacity to consider relationships, how successful integrations have gone. There's a track record, and you talk to certain, I'll call them vendors, who have little experience doing certain things, and you talk to others, and it's like, we do this all the time. And and just making the analogy to like a medical procedure, I'd rather have somebody operate on me who does that operation all the time. I'd rather have somebody fly the plane that I'm flying on, where they go back and forth all day long.
That's a good point. I mean, it's part of outrageous plug for InsTech. It's part of what we do. We tell people who are in our community whether people play nicely and whether they're good to work with, whether they've done all of these things.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of intelligence is a very, very important part of what we do. Jeff, Martin, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.